Wyatt, thank you so much for coming on the AIM podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Let's go. I'm excited. How are you feeling post High Rocks?
I'm feeling good. I'm still sore, which I'm surprised about. Honestly, I feel like I should be snapping back a little faster, but my shins are blown up and my quads. So got to hit that sauna and ice tonight.
You got to recover. For those listening that don't know the context here, Wyatt and I and a couple of the other of the amazing Ice Barrel crew just competed in High Rocks in a relay division, and it was super fun experience. I had a great time, and man, I had fun ripping it with you guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good new experience for everybody for sure.
Is there another High Rocks race on your horizon?
Man, there could be. It was good energy, a little bit addictive, I think. So yeah, there could definitely be another one in the future.
Yeah, no, 100%. They're a lot of fun. They do a good job with just the environment. I think is what is pretty interesting. It's very different than a lot of other races.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like the energy was good and it's so compact as well. So it like everyone's just kind of feeding off each other. So it was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And if we get ice barrels there at the next one, then I'm sure that'll give you some more incentive to be back.
Yeah, 100%. That'd be a lot of fun.
Let's go. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I'm really excited about this episode for a variety of reasons. It's been super fun to, build a relationship with you and the brand and Ice Barrel. And I think just sharing more of your personal story, but also just the benefits of cold. And I think a lot of people are starting to understand or starting to get exposed to the power of cold. I think it's become pretty, it's becoming more popular for sure. But from someone from like your perspective, you're going to be able to share some good insight here and some value for the listeners that maybe don't fully understand the benefits or how to do it or the proper protocols or what that can look like. So I think throughout the entire episode, I think we'll be able to bring a lot of value to our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my journey into cold therapy started back in 2017, back in the early days before it was popular and trending on social media. It was funny. I remember when I started telling people what I was doing, they kind of looked at me sideways. And I was originally using cold therapy as a way to manage stress and anxiety. um just from like my childhood and background, I was in a pretty intense corporate career and had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and that didn't help me it didn't help me live the life that I was wanting to, in regard just to finding like peace and equanimity in life. And so yeah, cold therapy was like my go-to. Cold shower a day, sometimes and a lot of times twice a day. It would just like bring me to a place of just calm and balance, and it was so impactful for me. And I wanted to turn the practice, like take it out of the family bathroom, right? The shower, the bathtub, and give it its own place. And there was nothing other than like a horse trough. There was nothing accessible. Um, so that's kind of where it all started and where like the wrestling in the beginning kind of started. Uh, I remember I wanted to keep, the spine upright because, and I talk about this often, when you go into the fight or flight response, nowhere in nature do you see a creature go in the fight or flight response and then lay back, right, in a bathtub or go into a rested position. They stay engaged. And so I wanted to honor, that response in the body and create a product around that idea. So that's what we did. And man, it was funny. Like I got the prototype and then I just started taking it everywhere with me and trying to give out ice baths. I had always had ice in the back of my truck and the barrel. And it was so funny because like again, people were just they weren't familiar with cold therapy. They didn't understand, even like the idea of recovery has
Sure.
changed so much over the last 5 years. So yeah, it was funny. I was all these gyms I was going to, they're like, you want to give what to our members? I'm like, ice baths, it's recovery, it's good for them. And it was funny. But now, like on the other side of that, as everybody knows, like cold therapy is just like trending in popularity and people are really starting to understand the benefits.
100%. No, that's awesome. It's cool to hear your kind of background and story. What initially got you to choose cold though? Because I know you talked about using that method to, deal with different things you were going through, maybe mentally, physically, whatever,
Yeah.
obviously recover. But what was that first initial thing that got you to cold exposure?
Yeah. So getting, I guess, a little bit more transparent. So like I struggled a lot with like rumination, just like struggling with these ideas and these thoughts and these fears and expectations just running through my head. And so I realized even when I was exercising, I could still like ruminate on things. I even tried deep meditation. I did that heavily for quite a while, actually, where I would be meditating. The house that I was living in at the time had an unfinished basement, and I would go down on the concrete, which was a very hard surface, and I would meditate. My longest stretch I ever did was 2 hours and 45 minutes, but usually upwards of an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours on this concrete. And I would do two different positions, sitting and then also laying completely flat on the concrete. And that was a really interesting time and experience. This was before cold therapy. And I was trying to utilize that to manage stress and anxiety. And it did help me. And I learned a lot through meditation. And I'm a big believer in the power of meditation as well. But it wasn't quieting my mind, and it wasn't setting me up throughout the days for like consistent relief. And I think that's what the big shift was with cold therapy. Like, when I would put my body in cold water, I didn't have to fight to get into a certain state. It just does it to you, right? And then you're so present in the moment, and so everything just gets shut down, shut off. And that was huge for me. And then post ice bath, I would stay in a consistent state of like balance and peace. And I don't know why my physiology responded that way compared to a lot of these other healing modalities that I had tried, because there's probably like a dozen of them that I pursued in efforts to manage stress and anxiety. But cold therapy was like the most quantifiable, effective solution for me. I just became so passionate about it, and I just wanted to share the power of cold with everybody everywhere. So I was just like, you couldn't shut me up about it. I would just talk to everybody about, have you tried cold therapy? Like, it can help this, it can help that. So yeah, it came a long way for
I
sure.
think that's incredible, man. It's so cool to hear your perspective as someone. I mean, I would consider you an early adopter, someone who's really got into it before it's become so popularized. What was that actual shift though for you personally that kind of pushed you to, transition from your corporate career to starting this company and really, doubling down on an idea and, something that you really believed in?
Yeah, I move fast in life and just on things. So the whole thing moved really fast from the time that I did cold showers and experienced relief for about 6 months. And it was right around that 6 month mark after doing cold showers where I was like, I'm passionate about cold therapy and I want to share the power of cold. Um, and I was like, there's no suitable products out there that hit on all the things that I was looking for. And I was an avid practicer of cold therapy. So it was like, there are things that I just know that I need in this practice. I want to stay upright. I want it to be compact. I want it to fit through an entry door, right? All these things. I had a good buddy at the time, Chris, who lived in an apartment complex. And I was like, I got to be able to get it into his apartment complex. So I had all these things that I wanted. And then I just went out and just started innovating it. And at that point in my corporate career, I got to a place where I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this at 100% if I don't just, like, in my mind the term was just cut the parachute cords and just fall, just go for it. And so that's what I did. I remember I was in the office, and I went into my boss's his office, and I was like, hey man, like, I gotta go, like, I'm done. It was like that drastic.
Wow.
And I just went for it. Then I came home and just had a good strategy session, and just a grounded session with my wife of just like, who are we? Where are we going? What do we want? And she was 100% behind me and in alignment with this, and we went for it. And it was the scariest, hardest thing I think we ever did. And it was not like, it was very challenging. Like, I walked away from the security of a job that I had experience in to go pursue this passion and dream. And like, there was a lot of very hard days, hard nights, not knowing what tomorrow looks like. And there were also challenges along the way. This was like 2008, I think it was. We had somebody like hack our website. Like we're an early business, just getting off the ground. And somebody like hacked the website and was trying to intercept payments and things like that. And luckily we caught it. But then we had to like rebuild a lot of the back end of the website at a time. And so things like that were just like, at the time it felt like, how do we recover from this? But you find a way.
That's really cool to hear. One thing we've been super fortunate to have a lot of interesting founders on the show, but one thing that I always get super excited about is when I connect with one who is genuinely passionate about the why and what they're doing. And I get that from you through and through. I can tell that you genuinely love cold and you genuinely want to help people through the business that you're building with an amazing team. And that to me just gets me fired up and it gets me more attracted to work with brands like Ice Barrel because I can tell there's a genuineness about, it's so much bigger than the barrel with you guys. And that's what I've seen. That's what I've felt. And I'm excited for more and more people to feel that with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. It has always been about helping people. I remember we did this New Year's Day plunge. Again, this was like 2018 or 19. I think it was New Year's Day 2019. And we took the barrel. It was like 5 degrees below, and there was a New Year's Day 5K in Denver, Colorado, and we took the barrels out. And again, everything was freezing. And trying to fill these barrels up with water, like the hose would freeze along, it was like chunks of ice were coming out. It was actively freezing. I had a 150-foot hose. The hose ended up snapping, covered me with water. Now, and I'm just in street clothes trying to get this set up for the event. So then I'm frozen. Literally, my clothes were all stiff. My hair was stiff. And it took me about 2.5 hours to get these barrels filled up with water. I had to go buy 2 extra hoses, 150-foot hoses. And then I remember though, I'm jumping in these barrels. I'm giving a speech from the barrels about the benefits of cold therapy. People are thinking I'm crazy because again, still this was unusual. But this one brave lady decided to take an ice bath, and then she started it. Then the rest of the crowd jumped in behind her.
Wow.
But she was having horrible pain in her back, left side of her back, and she was trying to just manage that pain because she was attempting to get surgery in the coming weeks, and she had tried everything. And so that was her first introduction to cold. And so she tried it there out of a state of like, I'm in pain, I need relief. He's saying it'll help. She tried it, and she was just so moved and impacted at the event because it was like extremely relieving to her. And I at first I was like, wow, that's cool. Like, super happy for you. But then she ended up messaging me like 3.5 months later, and she said, I've canceled all my surgery appointments. Cold therapy
Wow.
has been helping. And it was like, man, that made it all worth it, you know? And just getting covered in freezing water and getting it completely frozen over, and the pain of trying to get those barrels filled up.
Yeah.
It just, all that difficulty and challenge early on for that one story just made it all worth it. So yeah, it's always been about just like helping people, get colder and feel better.
That's incredible, dude. I love that. I think that's super, super cool. You touched on this earlier, but I want to bring you back to it a little bit. So you started the company, 2017 was when Ice Barrel was founded officially.
Correct. Yeah.
And obviously we're here today in 2023. And pretty much I would say most people in the health and fitness industry and athletes and other people outside as well have become aware that cold exposure is obviously beneficial. Maybe some people don't have the full understanding, the backing of the knowledge of the science behind it, but they see just like, how popular it's become. I'm curious, and I would love for you to touch on the timeline there between, when you guys started and now, because there's a lot of time there that, maybe people weren't as familiar with cold. And I'd love to hear what that timeline looked like and what was that progression like? And also, why do you think cold has become so popular today?
Yeah. Great question. So I think it's an interesting in regard to like the market understanding the benefits of cold. Um, we pushed really hard in the beginning on just increasing people's general awareness for temperature control, right? Cold water and wellness, like how those two things intersect. And at that time, there were some other voices starting to talk about the benefits of cold therapy. Dr. Andrew Weil, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and Paul Chek was another big voice in this space. So it was like it was interesting. So through this process, there was a gap in research and understanding around cold. So what we did is we partnered with some great medical researchers, and we scoured the internet as a team and just collected every article that we could find on the benefits of cold therapy. And then we created a doc, and then we started sending this document with all of this stuff just to different researchers and journalists and things like that, just so they could start talking about it.
Mm,
Which was super interesting. So nothing back to the brand, nothing back to the company. We were just trying to share the power of cold.
sure.
And I remember I brought on this gentleman to help with PR, and we took this like science, we called it our like science data room. And we just started sending that out, just again, promoting the benefits of cold therapy. And then we utilized that research and data to write a white paper on the benefits of cold therapy that's still on our website, and also to build like the science page on our website. And then we use those two tools as well to promote them to the community as well. So there's a lot of work early on just compiling the science of cold and making it accessible for the community. We then ended up writing over 100 blogs on all the different health benefits, which is really cool. And so yeah, it was like this huge push from like 2018 to probably like mid 2021 is where it started picking up momentum in regard to like people becoming aware of the benefits of cold therapy. We also did a huge push and partnered with a lot of different what we call them brand ambassadors to talk about the benefits of cold. So we would get them a barrel, and we would educate them on the benefits of cold therapy, and then they could share that with their audience as well, just to continue to spread the message. And so that played a huge part as well in just creating awareness in the community. So then over time throughout 2021, there were some other voices that entered the space, like Dr. Andrew Huberman. And I think it was just like this rising tide, right? Everybody started working in the space, becoming aware of it. And it's been amazing to see. I remember back then, I thought we were like 10 years out from people catching on like they are today. So it's amazing that we did it in like half the time that I thought it would take. So I'm really excited to see what the next 5 years holds.
100%. And I would even say, post COVID, like I've seen a lot of people just become more, health conscious and like, trying to think of more ways to holistically practice recovery and different things like that. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that come into play, but it's cool to hear, what you guys went through and just like the pursuit of helping people get educated. Which segues nicely to kind of what I want you to explain next is just like, could you give us just kind of the base fundamentals of cold exposure and the benefits to that from different perspectives of mental, physical, and what that looks like for people that are, maybe looking or searching to find out more about why they should do cold.
Yeah, cold therapy hits on a lot of different health points. So like short-term exposure to cold can help with like pain relief, boosting your mood and energy levels, and just giving a great like nervous system reset. Consistent and regular exposure to cold can help reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. And then long-term use of cold has even shown that it can stave off cognitive decline over time. So there's a myriad of health benefits around cold therapy. We have on our website, which is a super great resource, you can like look up the symptom or what, like just search in the search bar, like if it's arthritis, if it's fibromyalgia, if it's how it affects men's health, testosterone, women's health, how to use it for pain management, how to use it for sleep, things like that. And it talks about how cold can affect all these different areas. And the cool thing about cold therapy, again, that I say from the very beginning, it's like extremely quantifiable, and it gives you a sensation. It's not like taking a supplement or taking an injection of some form and then like wondering, I'm told it's working. Is it working? You know what I mean? It's like
That's
you
fact.
feel the cold. There's a sensation to it, and the body responds to that sensation. So it gives you a quantifiable response, which is extremely helpful in anybody's healing journey.
Yeah, that's good. And it's cool to hear the science behind it. For me personally, in my personal experience with cold, has been incredibly powerful in the fact that it's never super fun to get in a cold body of water. Initially at least it's not comfortable. It's just not for most people. I would say you're probably a weird guy. You probably like it, but
Yeah.
most people it's not comfortable. And so you get in there and you're like, this is not ideal. I'm not wanting to do this, but every single time that I get out of a cold plunge, I feel like unstoppable. I feel very confident because I did something that I overcame something difficult. But then physically, dude, I just feel like I can take on the world. Like it excites me. It gets me ready for life, and it just makes me want to go like go be great. And honestly, like that's how I feel. And so when I started to regularly, put that into my routine, like I've seen tremendous strides in my confidence, but just the way I think about things, the way I approach things. Like it's been a game changing, habit that I've added to my routine, which is really cool. And I really do want, like similar to you, I want more and more people to experience that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can definitely relate to that. I am one of the weird people that I enjoy the cold. But definitely it's like the hardest part of your day. And I would say early on, because I used to take my ice baths in the morning. Now I do them in the evening. But I used to say if you can get your ice bath in first thing in the morning, man, that is a huge win for the day. Like the way that it's going to be the hardest part of your day. Anything else that's thrown at you, you can handle, you can manage. So yeah, it definitely unleashes something in you that, inspires you to be great.
Yeah, 100%. And we've had on a couple of different people on the show that have, expressed their, I guess, appreciation for it as well. Like Josh Bridges said that, the first thing he does every morning is get in cold water. And he's a former Navy SEAL. This dude is just about as savage as it gets. And he said every morning, I don't want to do it, but I do it every single morning. And then I feel amazing and I go crush today. And like that's the mentality, one benefit, one mentality you can have with it, but obviously there's so many other benefits you're getting as well, which is just the cool part about it. It's such a positive ROI experience. Like you're getting so many benefits from it, whether you feel them or not. There's things happening in your body that you're getting from that, and it's just something that I really strongly believe everyone should be doing to some degree.
Yeah, 100% agree.
What's really cool about Ice Barrel that I've noticed, again, just becoming, good friends with you and learning more about the brand, is what you guys stand for. Obviously, we've touched on, the drive and the why behind why you're doing it, but you guys have set up a brand that's built on core pillars that actually stand for really cool things. And I think it'd be super helpful. And I would love for you to share more about what those pillars are for Ice Barrel specifically and how you as a leader have been able to kind of instill them in the company's brand identity.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ice Barrel has four core values. Our The way we think about these core values is they are just as much as they are internal facing, they're also external facing. So these core values affect how we approach product innovation, how we approach adding team members to the company, how we approach supporting and giving love to the cold therapy community as a whole. They also affect, who we are as people, and how we take care of ourselves and how we take care of each other. So they're very internally and externally focused. And so the first core value would be to be wildly courageous. And so I could talk for an hour on each one of these core values and what they mean, but right, we have to be really, really courageous to make the impact that we're seeking to do. And we have to be courageous with ourselves, with our decisions, with those around us. And a lot of times that goes directly towards we have to be willing to fail. And we like to swap the word fail with learn. And we have like Nick calls them failathons, right? And it's like a marathon, like who had the biggest failing for the week, right? The biggest learning. And so we really do believe in a community and an environment and a culture where we're learning from our failures and encouraging and promoting people to fail forward. So being wildly courageous is number one for us. The second one is to lead with the heart. At the end of the day, we value people over transactions. And that goes across the board with our team members, with the community. And so we're always looking to lead with the heart in everything that we do, every decision that we make, and make sure that, it's checking the boxes. Is this supporting and uplifting the cold therapy community? Is this honoring the team members and ourselves? Things like that. The third one would be to live mindfully. And this one's super important to me. Like in everything that we do, we want to be living mindfully. We don't panic, we don't freak out when we don't have all the information. We try and stay in a place of balance and peace as we go about our days and the work that we're doing. And we also utilize that in how we take care of ourselves, right? I do not believe, and we do not promote like the hustle culture work environment. One of my favorite actors, Zach Galifianakis, said that rest and recovery is equally as important as hustling and grinding. And so, right, that has been missed, especially in like startup environments. It's just this like hustle grind culture where you're just turning and burning people and yourself at the end of the day. And so the whole concept around live mindfully was to create an environment where, we're starting with rest in mind, right? We're starting with in a place of peace and balance, and then we're growing from there. We're not like overextended in some area. And then the fourth one is to be playfully curious. We believe that the highest form of innovation is infused with the spirit of play. If you look at children and you look at some of the most innovative minds out there, they stay in a very playful, curious state. And we want to be that. We want to embody that in how we make products, how we support each other, how we show up to events, and also how we run the company. So those are the four core values. And myself as the CEO, my job is just to uphold and call each team member in the community up to those core values. So yeah, we're really passionate about it.
Yeah, I can tell. And honestly, I've had a firsthand experience with a lot of your team members and the amazing group that you've put together, which is, again, makes you guys very, very special. And the fact that it's so much bigger than the barrel. It's so much bigger than, what you guys have brought to market. You guys are actually building people that emulate and embody those pillars and touch so many people through them. So I'm super pumped about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah. Last thing I really want to hit on, dude, is just this idea of community. Again, this is something that I think is really exciting for where we are right now and just the space of brands. I think the brands that have figured out a community strategy and are really focused on keeping that at the forefront of how they operate are doing much better than other brands that maybe are just more concerned on revenue and sales. Talk about y'all's strategy and plan with community and some of the things you've already started to, started kind of rolling out this year.
Yeah, so one thing that's so fun and unique about Ice Barrel is it's super simple and easy. It's easy to grab a barrel, show up at a buddy's house, or go do a community event and let people plunge together, right? People want to suffer together, right? There's this togetherness, a camaraderie that is built in discomfort. And so being able to facilitate and have a product that helps and promotes that has been just awesome to see. So we've been focusing heavily on community. Again, we want to show up for the cold therapy community very generously. We want to continue to promote the benefits so that they continue to share the power of cold with their friends and family. So we do quite a few community events. We're working on some really cool technology in our app as well, you'll be able to link up with different plungers and communities to be practicing cold therapy. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to just show up really well. And that's like when we go out to these events like CrossFit Games and Wadapalooza, and we went out to the Ironman and the Hula Bowl and the Outdoor Retailer Show. Like we show up at all these different events where there's people, and we just facilitate just really amazing cold therapy experiences that they can do with their friends and families and ones they love.
I love it. And you guys have been working with some incredible people like Eric Hinman, for example, who is naturally just such a strong community builder himself. And then obviously the partnership just makes it so much better when he's able to kind of leverage the skills that he has and bring everyone to do cold with him, and whether it be Denver or wherever they are. But those things are also amazing events and opportunities, I think, for people to really learn more about the brand, but just cold exposure in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, shout out to all of our brand ambassadors. My word, right now we have over like 250 dedicated brand ambassadors, over 1,500 different affiliates and influencers on our roster as well. And I'm just so thankful for each one of them and how they've shown up for the cold therapy community. So shout out to them.
Let's go. We're building the Ice family, a very strong family of people. But yeah, man, I'm excited. This has been a really fun episode, and I really appreciate your time. It's been fun to hear your story, your motivation, obviously the pillars you built this incredible brand on. As we wrap this thing up, and I know you just kind of touched on it with the technology coming out, are there any exciting things that you want to kind of announce or touch on that, Ice Barrel has to look forward to this year?
Yeah, this is going to be a big year. So stay tuned. We have some really, really cool, innovative products that we're releasing this year that we have been working on for years. So very excited about that. We have some new technology coming out that's going to make your cold therapy experience even better, more integrated. And then we also are going to be at a lot of fun events. So we'll keep you all posted on our social media pages and email lists. So stay tuned. It's going to be a really fun year.
I'm excited. I'm excited to help in any way I can. Hopefully, host some cold exposure events and just keep building with you guys. But why, dude? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been very, very fun. Super grateful for you, man. I can't wait to have a great year with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug.